So in this video, let's log on to conferzoom.org. Up at the top, conferzoom.org, and let's schedule a meeting. So I'm going to sign in, uh, and so it remembered what my email was and my password, but you may have to enter it. And I'll click sign in. And when you first get into a sign in, it puts you in this meetings area by default. These are meetings I've already scheduled, but I want you to know how to schedule a new meeting. Um, so normally we're going to do this right here by clicking on schedule a new meeting, but just one little reminder before we go any farther. Up here, if you click this thing called profile, you can change your picture. You can see what your default Zoom ID is. I'm going to just show it here. This is where my what I call my Zoom room is, and it stays on 24/7. And so we make sure that we use waiting rooms so people can't just kind of take over our Zoom rooms and come there whenever they want rather, because these links are kind of can become public pretty fast. It's a place where you might meet a student one-on-one session or have office hours or something like that. Not to schedule a regular class meeting, but for just basic things like that, you might use this link. You can make it friendly by setting up a personal link. I made mine Prof. Perry. And if you want to pick a name more friendly than these numbers, you can hit the customize button over there or link over there and just set that. Okay? So just remember that that's there. So back to the meetings area. This is where we start. So I'm going to schedule a new meeting. I click on that. Now, it puts you in an area where you can give a topic for the meeting. I've been being a world history teacher in a lot of my examples, so I put World History Chapter 16 this week. And here we just select the date, and so a little calendar there, say it's going to be on the 12th, and say we're going to have the class, it's going to meet at 1:30 p.m., and it's going to run for an hour, duration an hour and 30 minutes. Now just know that hour and 30 minutes, that isn't a hard uh, time. Zoom won't cut off right after an hour and 30 minutes. It won't stop your class if you're taking questions after a normal class session. But it just lets the people you're inviting know about how long you expect the meetings to go. So if your Zoom meeting is replacing what you might have held as a lecture on campus, you make it the same length of time as your lecture would have been, your lecture lab or whatever you were holding on campus. Time zone, all this is the same. You don't need to select anything else. Just leave this generate automatically there. Now, passwords are a big thing with Zoom now. There's two things we want to do. We want to have a password and we want to set up a waiting room. So the meeting password here, that should be checked, and they'll generate a password for you for your meeting. So I recommend just going with the 6-digit number that they put there. You could override it and use something else, but you don't want to use the same thing for every meeting. The idea is to make it a little harder for someone to get in without knowing the link and the password, so you don't get what they call Zoom bombing. You don't have someone fake their way into your room or into your meeting class and start shouting obscenities or trying to post pictures that are offensive or trying to do anything like that. So these two little things, using the meeting ID that will be generated and the password, are good things to do. If you come down here, leave this at both. That's usually good to do. I like to let people join my meeting before I join. That lets them get put in the waiting room. I like to mute them so they don't start their mics aren't on immediately. And here's the really important one: enable waiting room. And when someone's in a waiting room, and you'll be told that you click on a manage participants button. You'll see this in one of the later presentations I give. There's a participant button there. You'll click it and you'll see a little button or excuse me, you'll see a little region there that shows who's in the waiting room, and there'll be a little button by each name, and it says admit, and you click each one and you admit them into your class. And the reason we do that, of course, is you insist that your students use their real names, and at least that you can recognize as being on your roster. And if they don't use their real name, you don't let them in, because that's how people get the Zoom bombing thing you may have heard of. Someone comes in to purposely disrupt your class. So if they have the link, they have the password, and they've used their real name in the waiting room, the odds of someone getting in go way down. It still could happen. There's a possibility if someone has been careless about sharing the information, one of your students with somebody, it could happen, but it really reduces the risk to do these simple little things. So let's go ahead and schedule the meeting. I'm not done yet. I actually have to hit save to schedule the meeting. So I click on that and it does a couple things for me. It saves the meeting, says when it is, and I can click this and use that to put it in my Outlook calendar that I showed you about in an earlier video. Here's the password. If you need a reminder, you can show it there. But they give you the link here, but even better than the link is this thing called copy invitation. So if you click on that, you see that lovely formatted message I was showing you in an earlier video. And then if you click this button here, it says copy. It not only selects all the text, but it automatically copies it to the clipboard. So now you can just go back over to your email, create a new message, and Control V, Victor, to paste it into your email, and then you can tailor it. You can rewrite whatever you need to rewrite and send it off to the students in your class via email. So that's one way to get an invitation to go in. So that doing that is really good. Okay. I think that's the basics of what you need to do. All right, so I'm going to stop with that, and we've got some more Zoom things coming in and videos coming up.